get started in a couple of minutes, folks. Okie doke, it's 7 o'clock. Oh, good call. Really? Thank you all for being here early, on time. This is awesome. So anybody who's still arriving, we need you to check in the back, please, in the foyer. And we'll get started. Well, we want to thank everybody for coming and spending time with us, whether you are in person or online. This is a really important time for us, and we're really grateful that you want to come and have your voice heard and hear what we all have to say. So we really appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. My name is Trish Cowan, and I am the president of the Ethical Society for Alzheimer's Hour and a Half. Have a copy. We've got hard copies back there. You can find it on the members area on our website on your phone if you would rather. And we're gonna stick to the timing as best we can. If anything, I hope we'll actually run a little bit ahead, and then we can catch up during the Q&A portions. So we'll see. All right, the next page after the agenda in your annual report is the minutes from the 2023 annual meeting, and Rachel's going to take the stage for this portion.
Good evening. Starting on page 4, you can find the minutes from the annual membership meeting of 2023, or perhaps you've already looked at them. And if there are any questions on that, the board will field those at this time. Okay, thank you very much.
We love no questions. Thank you, Rachel. Okay, so the way the board of the Ethical Society of St. Louis operates is rather than having a motion to accept things and then a second, we actually cut to the chase. So we ask if anybody blocks something, and then we ask if anybody stands aside. And if neither of those happen, then it passes. So the minutes for last year's annual meeting, does anybody block them? Does anybody stand aside? Beautiful. Okay, minutes passed. Thank you, Katie Borders. I don't think she's here. Thank you for doing those last year. All right, so we had a lot to do this year, and I hope that you all have felt like in the know about what we've been doing, but this is an opportunity for us to go ahead and summarize all of that in one tight place. I want to acknowledge our team of board members: Mary Murphy-Overman, Kit Rogers, Samantha White, Rachel Jones, our amazing secretary, Lance Finney, the most amazing past president, and Scott Wright, the awesome president-elect. They worked so hard this year. Oh, and not to mention Amy Miller. So you've already had access to our portion of the annual report, but we want to go ahead and just quickly summarize the formal goals that we had for this year. We had 7 goals that we wanted to really pay attention to, and we formalized them so that we could share them with you, and so that we could stay on top of them officially, see the progress, have action items for all of them, and all that jazz. So first on our list was support the reestablishment of SEEK. SEEK is Sunday Ethical Education for Kids, and we all, I think all of us in this room, recognize that a strong children's program for the society is vital to the health of the society. Megan McCarthy came on board last June as our ethical education director. She is incredible. She's so personable and organized and efficient. As a result of having consistent, great leadership, both from her and Amy, our attendance of the Sunday school or of the SEEK program has grown. We have had traditions brought back. We've started new traditions. And in fact, next program year, there will be even more classes. Since COVID, we've had 2 elementary aged classes, and next year we expect to have 3 or 4. So getting back to the way things were, we're pretty excited about that. And also Courtney, who has been our membership coordinator, is moving into SEEK to support that program as well. So our efforts there will be double, which is awesome. And on page 22 of your annual report, you'll see Megan's report, and she lists the volunteers who have supported the program during this past year, and those people are so wonderful. We really appreciate it. We need continued support next year and every year. And I also want to acknowledge that a lot of you were here for Youth Sunday, where our coming of age kids graduated, our youth group was there, and that's just such a simple way that you can support the SEEK program. So thank you very much for continuing to support our kids and our families. So our second goal for this last year was to prepare to hire a settled leader. I adore Amy. She's done incredible work for us, and I'm so grateful for all that you've done. continue to do. But we do have to prepare for the next chapter. So Carol and Don Beer have pulled together an incredible leader search task force. And they've been actually working since September of 2023, even though this would be like a year and a half long project. They started in September. They're working with Katie Waters, David Brown, Cy Henningsen, Lindsay Nissenbaum, and Brian Vandermeer. And they are working really, really hard. They already right away out of the gate started off with holding 7 listening sessions with the membership so that they could hear what our members want from our next leader, because it's always evolving. And you know, before being on the board, my opinion of what I would like to see in a leader has changed with every new thing I learn. And the task force has communicated regularly with the board and the greater membership. They've put articles in the Connection and always turned in a report for our board meetings, which can be found in the member area on the website. They have developed and posted promotional materials, publicized the opening, reviewed applications, created a thorough job description, and they are continuing to make incredible progress. So the board is about to transition, and what we plan to do is get the new board members up to speed, and we hope that in the coming months we will be able to present some exciting developments to you all. The way the system works is that once the board is seriously interested in a candidate, then we invite that candidate to the society. We'll do a meet and greet. The board will formally interview them, and we'll ask them to do a platform address, and then the membership can vote. You will have a say in this process. So I think that that'll be a really exciting time. We're hoping to have somebody in place December or by January at least. And our third goal was, it may seem a given, but we wanted to very purposefully work on increasing our transparency from the board to the membership. So I think we all know how easy it is to hear information and think, okay, everybody else has that same knowledge, and it's not the case. So we have tried really hard by making sure an article was written for either the Connection every month and or the weekly newsletter that goes out by email. We have made announcements, a platform, organized special meetings. We held 5 board Q&A sessions, which were really well attended, and folks had fabulous questions and comments at those. And then we also always have our board email address, and currently still have our Google feedback form if anybody wants to access us that way. And so I'm hopeful that these methods will continue and just kind of become a part of the expectation and the culture for how the society operates. We can always improve. Our fourth goal was to create a strategic planning task force. And this one is probably my favorite one to report on because we deferred it. We recognized that having 7 goals, very intensive goals, was a lot. And most of our goals had a direct impact, and they immediately affected the society. This one felt a little bit less urgent. We were bound to consider this goal and take it seriously because in the policy manual, it does state that every 5 years the strategic planning will take place. But the more we thought about it, the more we realized, okay, so in the last 5 years, we had been closed a year and a half for COVID. We've had a year and a half at that point of an interim director, and it just felt a little unnecessary to be creating a strategic plan for an invisible new leader to take over at some point. So we're holding that off, and we did look at the previous strategic plan so that we could use those goals and that information as we met in January to talk about ministry team goals for this coming program year. The fifth goal that we made was to create a task force by the end of July 2023 to renegotiate the Ethical Society Nursery Schools contract. The contract, or the operating agreement, actually had not been updated, near as we can tell, since 2016. And although the rent payment still continued because there is a fixed calculation for how that is figured, that was not interrupted at all. But we just, we had this document that had old signatures on it and old language, and so we wanted to make it more current. We have 3 reps from the Ethical Society who are on the Nursery Schools Board. We've got Kit Rogers, Megan McCarthy, and Rich Stenberg. And Kit will be rolling off now as the close of her Ethical Society board term happens. And so we went ahead and Kit, Rich, and I met with Steve Harris, who's the Ethical Society's treasurer, and Crystal White, who has a lot of understanding of the way the nursery school operates. And so what we wanted to do was we wanted to understand the way the rent is calculated for the nursery school, because we want that to be fair to all parties. And so we got a handle on that, and then we also went through the operating agreement and made comments about things that we would like to change, whether it's the title of our SEEK director, which evolves, or I don't know, little trivial things like that, the name of our Sunday Ethical Education for Kids program. And then there were some bigger things that we wanted addressed. We wanted it to be fair, and we want to be partners with the nursery school. And so right now it is in their hands. They are looking at it, and they will get back to us with any comments that they want to make about our comments or any comments they have about the agreement itself. And we are thinking that that'll be wrapped up by this June. So that's pretty awesome. The sixth goal we had was to designate a panel of former trustees to investigate potential ways to redistribute presidential responsibilities. So asking somebody to dedicate 3 years is a lot to ask. That's how long our board terms are. And we recognize that there's a lot of hard work. There are frequent emails, text chains, phone calls, meetings, and we want it to be a little bit more exciting for our members to want to do. And I have to say that the current structure for the president track is incredible. So thank you to whoever was on that team that made that happen. We have a 3-year president track. First year is president-elect, and that person is getting used to things and also sitting on the finance committee, as well as running the pledge campaign for the upcoming year. Then there will be a year as president, and that person runs the show, makes sure that things happen on time, the meetings go on, and all that jazz. And we represent the society to the AEU, the American Ethical Union. Then for the 3rd year as the past president, that person is all about wisdom, reminding us when to do things, what needs to be done, leading the government team, and serving on the Lay Leadership Development Committee. So, even though it's a lot of work each year, at least It's kind of new work each year. And I think that that system is brilliant because I cannot imagine the days when people were president for 3 years. Oh my gosh. So our wonderful Crystal White, who is a former president and former secretary of our board, offered to lead this task force, to take a look at what all the board does, what all the presidents do, and see how we can make it a little bit more palatable for the current board members and future board members to come. She's working with Marianne Perkins, Kathy Pickard, Nathan Schrenk, and Stephanie Segala, and they hit the ground running. They just started in March, this past March, and already they've broadened the scope. They're not just looking at the president track, they're looking at all of the board stuff. Because the reality is that if the president doesn't follow through on something or needs support with something, as I've needed this year, the other board members step up. And so I feel like our board has done a really nice job of supporting the work. You would not believe how many times I have said, okay, I'll do such, and somebody else pops in and says, I'll go ahead and do that. It is incredible how willing this team has been to support one another. But still, I think I got luck of the draw there. We want to implement some things in the policy manual so that that can be the norm. And we're hoping that next winter something will be in place so that this time next year, when we are seeking new candidates for the board, we can say, look at how amazing it'll be. Don't you want to do this? And everybody will say yes. Right? So our last goal was to explore the Ethical Society of St. Louis's relationship with the American Ethical Union, AEU. And we have talked a lot about that this year. It started last summer. The AEU Assembly, which is the usually July conference that is held, it was online, and we had several delegates. We had Alan Easton, Mary Murphy Overman, Kyle Nienhaus, Dennis Roach, Scott Wright, and me, plus Anya Overman, who was acting on behalf of the AEU board, and Louise Jett, who was serving through the AEU's National Leader Council. We all had a vote. We all attended a bunch of meetings, and we all heard the constantly evolving proposals that were being set forth. And so when everything came to pass, October 1st was the start of the new AEU fiscal year. And there were several committees and programs that were paused. The leader training program, support of ethical education directors, the Youth of Ethical Societies, or YES conference for teens, and ethical action programming. All of those were paused. And the idea was that the new AEU board could reimagine how these programs work over the 23 to 24 fiscal year, which runs October 1st to September 30th for them. And so they're in the middle of that. We're hoping for some news at some point. But the pressing issue for us was that our bylaws at the time stated that our leader, our settled leader, needed to be AEU certified. And since AEU leader certification was not happening, we knew, well, we need to hire somebody hopefully this year. The membership understood that we couldn't keep that in our bylaws because we couldn't adhere to it. So thank you all for attending those meetings to understand that and vote in approval of that. But then we realized really there's an appetite for more conversations about our relationship with the AEU. And so the board engaged more conversations about the current status, the history that we have with the AEU. And we hosted 5 forums that folks were great to attend. We had a post-platform meeting and a Zoom meeting midweek so that people could be in the know about what we were exploring. The Ethical Society Board also had Condra Sears, who's the AEU president, and Anya Overman, who at that point was the AEU secretary, still is. In December, we had them come to our board meeting so that we could ask questions, get some clarity on some things. And then our board members, and especially our presidents, attended several AEU meetings throughout the year. So thank you all for responding to questionnaires and surveys about this. Scott Wright has formed a new task force that will look into this relationship and kind of draft some expectations that we have for continued involvement with the AEU. And so that's in progress. It's going to be really interesting. But we've done a lot of work in the meantime to hopefully get to a decision that everybody can agree with. And then we've had some other, I hope these are all positive. I was going to say really cool things happen for us. We co-hosted a summer party and potluck with Mid-Rivers last summer, and and Chicago, and a lot of our folks attended. We supported Louise Jett as she did her internship with us last summer to become a leader. This is pretty cool. Amy came to us last summer and said, why don't we honor Juneteenth? And we all talked about it. We approved her suggestion to honor Juneteenth as an official holiday for our staff, and the staff and board worked together to create community agreements for the Ethical Society. And I'm really excited that we've reinstated the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee that Dennis is leading. So it's been, Dennis Roach, sorry. So it's been a really full year. And hopefully none of the things that I shared were surprises to you, and our communication with you has come to pass. And at this point, I would like to welcome Amy up so that she can give her report to everybody. Oh, are you? You want this?
Put my readers on. This just happened. I bought 6 pairs and they're everywhere. And I was like, ooh, they can match. Anyway, Zoe's teasing me about that because I have to then I have to go like this to see you and then go like this. Anyway, many of you know about readers. I did not know about readers. I'm brand new. So, actually, I can't see you with those on. Thank you so much for the introduction. You guys hear from me all the time, so I'm not sure that I have a whole lot to share that would be new for you. Last year was a whirlwind and a roller coaster in a lot of ways, some expected, some completely unexpected. But over the course of time, things have sort of evened out, and I do feel confident that I will hopefully leave this place better than I found it in some ways, and hopefully you guys have benefited in some ways from me being here. It's been really fun in a lot of ways. I did want to say, to affirm Tricia's comment about communication, 95% of respondents of the last survey said that they were satisfied with the transparency and communication from the board. So they are really working hard on that, and so I do want to acknowledge that that has been a concerted effort, and your board has spent a lot of time forward-facing and talking about how to communicate things and how to be as transparent as possible. So you should be proud of your board. And the board has been wonderful and supportive to me as well. We don't always agree, and that's to be expected because we're here at the Ethical Society. But everyone has communicated really beautifully, and we've resolved conflict really well. And what I've really liked about this board is that I have a different relationship with each person. So I might have, I know who to go to with which concern, or if I need something edited, I'm obviously going to go to Mary Murphy Overman. If I need someone to tell me everything's going to be fine, I'm going to holler at Trish. But it's been really an interesting experience, and I spent a lot of time with these people, way more than I'm sure they expected to spend with their interim director. I needed a lot of support, and they came through, and they have been there for me this entire time, and so like I really, really appreciate it. I've probably talked to Lance Finney more than any other human except my husband and child in the past year and a half, because he is such a font of information and very helpful and very responsive, and I really appreciate it. And Rachel is such an incredibly organized person. I love her detail orientation. It's a delight. And I look forward to Scott's presidency. Scott actually is one of the only people who can give me feedback and advice without me getting defensive. He actually has a really curious, a really kind way of delivering feedback in a way that is supportive and thoughtful and doesn't make me mad. So I love that. So I look forward to healthy communication moving forward, and I look forward to your presidency, Scott. So everybody's awesome. My team is awesome. I've worked really hard to create a team culture with the staff where everybody feels supported and everybody feels cared for, and we have a good time at our staff meetings, and everyone that I've hired is still here, which I'm very happy about, even though Courtney will be transitioning to support, which, to be fair, she initially applied for the SEEK position, so it makes sense. She loves kids. But I will say, as of this week, we've hired a new membership coordinator. Some of you might have met her on Sunday. Her name's Katie. She is an animal rescue person. She's quirky. She's personable. She's creative. So I think, knock on something, we're not superstitious here, but I'm going to do it anyway. I think it's going to be really good, and hopefully we can get some continuity in that position. Lou left for real reasons, and Courtney is transitioning to the SEEK program to support that program, so those are also valid reasons, so that's good. Thinking about next year's programming, one thing that I'd like you guys to do, if you will, is be thinking about what kind of platform you'd like to see moving forward. We got a lot of really, really good feedback about this year's programming. I really appreciate the speakers team for their help on that. Claire's done an amazing job. She's not here tonight, but she has done an amazing job with the music. If you agree, please let her know. Give her some kudos, because she's really worked hard on that. She's very organized, especially given that she works full-time as a teacher. I would love for you guys to come to Forum on Sunday to discuss moving forward what we'd like to do with platform programming. I do want to give you guys, I feel like I should inform you so you have time to adjust emotionally to this. We will not be having paper handouts for the summer at Platform. I too would applaud that, and I know some people feel very strongly about they want to hold the thing in their hand, but I promise you, like, they just go right in the trash or they're on the floor, and it's a waste of paper and it's a waste of Nancy's time a lot of times. So, but that being said, I'm gonna give you guys a chance over the summer. We'll do it. We'll see how it goes. We'll see if you guys are really distressed by it. If anybody's like really troubled, we can work something out. We will also add a slide so it'll show the order of events, which, by the way, are always the same. I mean, this last week, I will give you, like, this last week, having a handout was cool. It was actually the one time I didn't take a handout, but it was a different order of things. But anyway, I just wanted to give you guys time to think about that, and there might be some other changes that we'll try over the summer, but we'll try to give you a heads up so that you can adjust accordingly. I know traditions are hard to let go of. The only other thing that I'll say really is that I don't want to like list all the things that we've accomplished, but there is quite a long list in the annual report of some events that I've sponsored and ideas that I've kind of put forward. I would love for that to continue. I would love to hear from you at all times about what you liked, what you didn't like. Say it in a nice way. Ask Scott for tips. But I will say that I joke about that now. You guys have come like a full 180 from the way feedback was given and critiques were given to me early on to how they are given now. It's not that people don't share negative feedback with me, but I can tell how much more thoughtful people are being, and I can tell how much more kindness is infused in the feedback, and it makes me like super proud. So I hope that that continues because, by the way, you're gonna have a new leader and they're not gonna have any idea what they're doing, and they're gonna have to acclimate to this really unusual culture. And they'll have to get to know everyone, and it's just a really steep learning curve, so definitely remember to be gracious for that person who's coming in next. I think that's all I have, unless if anyone had any specific questions about anything in my report. We have met our goals for the most part. We still are working on increasing in-person attendance at Platform. We're doing all we can for that, but if any of you have not gotten a response from me, let me know. If you've ever emailed me or reached out to make time and I did not respond, there's a reason. I just found out that I accidentally blocked Cheryl Thomas's email, so she can't get an email through to me. I'm like, I didn't block you. So I didn't block any of you. So if you're trying to reach me, I can be reached very easily by email. So if you need me for anything, let me know. I have office hours. I'm happy to sit down with you if you're having a problem, going through something. Let me know.
Amy's comments about the way we deliver criticism and comments, I agree. I've seen that too. And I think that if I had to summarize like the most wonderful thing that Amy has done for us, I think it's that she has really made this community of humanists really human. You know, I really think you have. All right, so Amy's the heart, and now we're moving to the head. Steve Harris will be giving his treasurer report to us all. There's a lot of good information in your annual report, but Steve acts as a volunteer for eons. He has been the treasurer for the society, and now you get to speak.
So I became the treasurer back in 2006 and have served in that role ever since. The way the Finance Committee is set up right now, our duties is primarily to monitor the finances of the society. We do not have a policy-making role, so if there's something that we think needs to be changed, we just have to recommend it to the board, and then the board makes the final call. Since we've gone to an outside manager for our investments, our committee also monitors what that firm does, and in this case it's Parkside Financial, which is based in Clayton, not very far from here. So during the year, the Finance Committee, in addition to myself, consisted of Nathan Schrank, who's been involved for quite a few years, Jim Rhodes, who was actually a former treasurer. He was a treasurer before I assumed the role, and Andy Stanton, who served for 6 or 7 years and then just recently decided to step down. But we also have a fairly new member of the committee, Kara Hirschberger, and fortunately she's a CPA, which means that it's even more likely that we'll be sure to monitor things in a professional manner. Now, the report that I wrote starts on page 16. It runs to page 20. I am not going to read it to you. I'll mention a few highlights, and then if anybody has some questions, I'll do my best to answer them. So, regarding the assets of the society, as you may know, the stock market set an all-time high this week, and as a result, the investment portfolio of the society also set an all-time high of around $8.2 million. And then we also have a gift annuity fund, which is somewhat under $500,000, but that also is at an all-time high. The mentioned in this report is the fact that although pledge commitments were higher this year than they were in the last year or two, if you adjust for inflation, I'm sorry to say that they're at an all-time low for the current 21st century. So I think we need to look in the mirror and see if we can help improve that situation as we go forward. So with that, I think I'll ask if there's anyone in attendance that would like to ask a question about our finances. Yes, go ahead, please, Crystal. Oh, so Lance is going to bring the mic over to you.
Hello? Yeah.
I really appreciate your statement about the pledges. What number would have been better for us to have contributed?
Could you repeat that? I didn't quite pick it up.
So you made the statement that while we hit like an all-time high in pledging compared to the inflation, that it was low.
Well, the total amount pledged for in the budget for the year that's going to be over at the end of this month is $300,000. And I think we'll come very close to that. We may not get exactly that, but I expect we'll get maybe 295, maybe a little bit more.
So my question, Steve, is what number should we have done based on inflation to make it so that we actually would be meeting the needs of the society?
Yeah, I do not have that. I didn't calculate that for this meeting. Probably it would be somewhere near to $400,000, though, I think. Oh, and I overlooked the fact that Scott Wright's been on the Finance Committee for the last year. And of course, he'll be moving on to serve as president, and whoever gets elected to the board, he'll take his spot on the Finance Committee. Okay, Kent's going to shoot one at me.
What about the Legacy Committee? Why is it not functioning?
Why is what not functioning?
The Legacy Committee?
Oh, the Legacy Committee. Well, we recently convinced Bill Brizard to head up the Legacy Committee. So I expect that in the next few months we're going to have some new information about gift annuity rates, which will be higher than what's happened in the past because they're closely tied to federal government treasury rates. And I think we'll also have some activities to encourage members to become legacy friends, which means that you've either purchased a gift annuity, you've donated money directly to the society beyond an annual pledge, or you've made a provision in your will that upon your passing that an amount will come to the society. And we've had numerous people do that over the years. And actually part of what I'm supposed to talk about is recognizing anyone in the last year that has passed on but has had an amount from their estate that came to the society. And there wasn't any such bequest for the current year, but there will be one for the new year. I just can't tell you how much it's going to be, but it's from Billy Tino. And the place where she left it is making it difficult to get all the paperwork done, but I expect to have that finalized within a few weeks anyway, and then we'll at least know how much it's going to be. Yeah, is that Jean?
Is the reason for the pledging being below what you would like it to be because the members aren't giving enough or because the number of members is low?
I would say the former. The number of members has slightly gone down, but not drastically.
Is the pledge team still using a giving guidelines, especially for new people who join? Because people typically set a baseline at that point, and
I'll have to defer to Scott on that because I'm not a member of the Canvas Committee and it changes every year. And I'm sure he can fill you in on that.
This year, the pledge team did not use a giving guide, although we did tier our letters and our direct appeals to each individual in your letter based on the amount that you pledged and gave a suggested amount to increase it to. So kind of yes, but not just a single form guide that we give to everyone. I'm not sure if we're giving anything to new members currently. I don't think so. No.
One thing I will say is when we make up the budget, there's usually an amount that's assumed in the pledge line item. They'll come in from new members who, of course, we don't know who they are at the time we draw up the budget. But historically, that's always happened. We've had new members join during the year, and they've pledged a certain amount in their first year as being members. So one other thing I'm going to mention is that Nancy Jelenic has done an extraordinarily good job as our office manager or executive, whatever, director. And I've worked very closely with her during the 18 or whatever years I've served as treasurer. She's going to retire from that role next year. And it'll be very interesting to see how we find someone to replace her. I think it'll be practically impossible, but the Finance Committee will do our best to work with whoever that new person might be.
Thank you so much, Steve. And that transitions us to Amy talking about the budget with us.
Ooh. It is true, Nancy will be retiring. And most of you who've been around know this, but it is astonishing the amount of information this person has in her brain. It really boggles the mind. She's amazing. She's also, like, no offense to any of you, but she's my favorite. She's on vacation right now, and she came last year to support me, even though she does not come to things. I don't know if you guys remember, she sat over here. Because I was like, what if they ask me a question that I don't know? Which I don't think you guys asked anything that was that was hard that I didn't know, but just having her there was helpful. But this year she was like, you got this. So, but I could phone a friend if I really needed to. She's in Florida. She's not out of the country. But anyway, she's amazing. And, we've budgeted for 3 months of overlap with her. So we will start crafting the job description early, and we will be working, we will do everything we can. I will do everything that I can to help ease this process, to leave you with someone to work with her for several months to get her understand the systems, create their own systems. It'll be fine. I know this is a very scary thing for everyone. It will be fine. And she deserves a break. She's been here for 25 years, holding all this stuff in her brain and caring about every single one of you. Even if you don't know that she cares about you, she absolutely, if you said, what do you know about, and she could tell you, they joined in this year, their pledge, she wouldn't tell you your pledge, but she would know your pledge. And she would know everything that has ever happened in your life that the society knows about. It's amazing. I also want to say thank you to the Finance Committee for doing that forum. because I imagine that's why people didn't have more questions tonight, was because you guys got a really thorough understanding, which was very helpful, I think, for a lot of people. It was very well attended. I popped in for part of it. So thank you to Nathan and Steve and Scott, and I don't remember who else was there, but others. Kara, welcome. So a couple of highlights from the budget. The budget is not significantly different than last year's budget. There are very few changes that are significant, except for the personnel costs, which are significantly more for valid reasons. One of the reasons is that we are doubling coverage in SEEK. And I think that's super important, that it has been every single person who talks about SEEK, especially people who've raised their children here, just really want to see it succeed. It is not possible to do as good of a job as Megan has been doing. And we added 2 hours, so she was up to 22 hours. It's not enough. It's really a full-time job to do beautifully. And so Courtney and Megan are a wonderful team. And so they're going to divide and conquer. And so they will essentially be a co-directorship, although I think Megan will still be the main person. So I think that's a really important addition to the budget. Unfortunately, obviously, you guys, I know people feel like, ugh, when they see that it's more, but I think in the long run, the outcome will be beneficial to the society, because you will be a place for families to bring their kids. Again. Let's see, what else? The other thing is, I don't know how to say this in a kind way, except that people weren't being paid enough. I'm being paid equitably. I don't think that the rest of the staff has been being paid enough. And so last year we did a little 4%, and then this year we added a 10% increase for all the staff. And I think it gets them closer to an equitable rate of pay. We did a lot of research to see what people should be making for the jobs that they're doing. And so a 10% increase for everyone except me in the staff, including increasing the rate of pay for the event staff from $16 to $18 an hour. And paying a little bit more to the nursery people, because it is wildly unfair that nursery workers get paid less than other childcare workers. Like, the little kids aren't the hardest ones often. So I think that you guys should be really proud for the equity that you're adding to the staff salaries. So the other thing to note is that there was a significantly greater amount of rental income this year. It was largely due to these fever concerts that were a giant pain in the butt in so many ways. They were very hard on the building. They were a hard client, but they did bring in a lot of income. They got us, we have so many Google reviews that have nothing to do with us, that are all about people coming into this building and experiencing this space. And so that whether that translates into more membership over time or not, we probably can't tell. But Adam has done a beautiful job of managing that. Lou is who established the contract with them. And she really took kind of a risk in establishing that, because it was something that we hadn't done before, you guys hadn't done before. I don't know if any of you came to any of those Fever concerts, the candlelight concerts, but they were really beautiful in this space. But we're not doing those moving forward. So we budgeted a reasonable amount based on trends of other rentals. Let's see what else. As far as the pledges go, like last year we estimated 300,000, and some said it couldn't be done, but it is being done, and we will reach that number. And so we were adding, so we estimated an additional 10% this year, which I think that we are probably, hopefully, on track to meet that as well. So the budgeted expected pledges for next year are 330,000. To Steve's point, it would be nice if that were more, but from what I understand, the pledges, you have been giving more, and the pledge campaign was really successful, which Scott will talk more about, but you guys are, I mean, it's skinny times for a lot of people, and so I appreciate that everyone is giving what they can, and that when they are able to give more, they do. And people do. They contact and say, my situation changed, I'd like to increase my pledge. My situation changed, I need to decrease my pledge, but I'll be back. And people are on the honor system doing that, and so, do what you can. I think that's really the highlights. Do you guys have any specific questions when you looked over the budget? I may or may not know the answer. I could call Nancy.
So obviously, this is the first time I've seen the budget, but I don't know if I'm reading it correctly that you are anticipating that if you find a settled leader to hire, starting at the beginning of the year, that person will be paid significantly or at least somewhat less than what the interim director is being paid.
No.
Okay, then
They
I'm
will
reading
be, so
this
we
wrong.
estimated them at 95,000. But we also estimated them starting in December, and so it would be the amount prorated December through the end of May. So December 1st through the end of May, whatever the prorated amount of 95,000 would be. Because the fiscal year ends, so it's 6 months of salary. So we budgeted, we didn't know obviously how much the contract would end up being, but we figured it would probably be somewhere in the vicinity of what you're paying.
Well, that's very helpful because I just took each of them as 6 months and went, oh my goodness.
I understand. It's very confusing, especially with the fiscal year ending at the end of May. We also, in here, we have a position for the new Nancy that we budgeted, additional months for, we have 3 months for Nancy, and then we have this 5 months for the new person. So it can be confusing. If you have very specific questions, we don't have to go over them now, and we could talk later if you have a very specific question.
Hi, Joe Babka. Sorry, I
Hi,
didn't
Joe.
read the report on the proposed budget, but what do you have funded for the facility, and is that growing as well?
What do you mean? The building itself?
Yes. Maintenance?
The general maintenance proposed budget is 30,700. The whole thing. So total building maintenance is 115,285 is the proposed budget. The current projected actual for this year is 99,103. Or 1/6 of the budget, yeah. Yeah. And the building's expensive. This is actually not enough. We'll have to, there's other funds that that improvements come from, because it's an old building. It needs. Right.
I should have asked the question to you then. What's your capital expenditure reserve?
It's not published.
Okay.
It's kind of iffy, so the board has to agree to do something. There's a possibility of redoing the front entryway, and there's a couple other projects that are being considered, but there's nothing urgently pressing.
Mm-hmm.
As in the case last year where we had to replace all our circuit breaker panels because the insurance company insisted on it.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Hi. Oh, it's not even on.
Oh, it's Joe.
Hello? All right. Is it possible that we can continue to give staff raises based on the cost of living? Because I think that, that's something that we stand for, equal pay. And I think that's important that we stand by our convictions and continue to give them raises based on the cost of living. That's my opinion.
Totally agree with you. And for what it's worth, that was the hill I was willing to die on with this budget. I'm like, that was the thing that I would fight for, because I think our staff works really hard, and they have to do a lot with not very much time. And so being well compensated will keep them here and make them happy. And So yes, I think that that would be an important thing for you guys to continue to do.
Yeah, Amy has made sure that was true for both of the budgets she was responsible for, but she won't be responsible for the next one. So that will be a continued conversation. Do we need to move on?
Let's do Sean, and then are you okay if we catch up with you afterwards, John? Okay, thank you. Sean, last question?
Hello, Sean. Can you explain this is breaking in and out? Just the increase in the legal line, can you give an explanation of that?
Sure. So Sean is asking about the legal fees line, and that is a personnel issue that has been resolved. And because it's a personnel issue, we really aren't at liberty to disclose much more. But that's that. All right, and at this time, I would like to, thank you, Amy, for doing that. And thank you all as you consider approving this budget, which you have the final say on. Thank you for remembering that the increase for the staff really is well-deserved and important for keeping good people here. So now I would like to invite up Heath Borders to talk about the nominating committee results.
Hello, I am going to be really short. The nominating committee contacted all committees, groups, the employees, and members to request nomination suggestions. The nominating committee balanced these suggestions to nominate Matthew Heil for President Track, Rachel Jones for Board Secretary, and Marianne Perkins for Board Trustee. Their bios are available in the April Connection newsletter and in the annual report meeting minutes that you have in your hand. So I think everybody can vote, so go for it. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Heath. And now Lance is going to come up and review the ballot with us and call for a vote.
Yeah, so this part of the agenda is a little bit funny because it used to be that we would actually all vote at this point, but many of you have already voted. But following tradition, I'll still discuss this. As Heath mentioned, we had the nominees from the nominating committee. In addition, there's a secondary process for getting someone nominated for the board, which is a nomination by petition. And Sean O'Hara submitted a petition to be nominated for a position as a trustee on the board, and it was a valid petition. And so he is also an option for you to consider for the board role. The other things on the ballot, which you probably see in front of you on the last page of the annual report, or if you got a separate one, the things that we will be voting on will be the budget itself. You can say yes, no, or abstain. And then we have two bylaw amendment questions. They're both relatively small, but just trying to tighten up the process that we have for voting. So one of them seeks to align the description of a specific voting process with other processes that were changed recently. We changed it one place and missed another spot. And then the other one covers the situation of what if someone does not get a majority vote? Previously it said majority vote, but what if we had 3 people running for a particular position and then, 40%, 40%, 20%. What do we do in that situation? So it allows for the ability to elect someone by plurality vote, whereas previously we would have had no provision to handle that. So are there any, I'm not going to run the mic because I'm hoping to answer questions if there are any, but are there any questions about any of those items on the ballot? Okay, as I said, I'm guessing that most of you may have already voted. Is there anyone who still has a paper ballot in hand that they want to submit? Okay, so we have a few, and Kit and I think Mary and Samantha will come around. So
Yes, and also, if you want, there's a QR code up here. There's also a QR code on the ballot, the paper ballot, if you want to just vote that way on your phone. Yes, only vote once, please. And I guess we have a little voting time music. Thank you, Jake. I started dancing, and I'm like, what's happening here? I have quite a few friends who are on Jeopardy over the years, actually. All right, so is there anyone else who still has a ballot in hand that they want to turn in? If so, okay, we just have someone who's filling it out right now, so we'll take a couple minutes or moments. All right, and I believe that last call, any other ballots out there? Okay, all right, we have one more ballot still working on, so we'll be done in a moment, and then our trustees will be tabulating the votes. Thank you to those who voted online or absentee. That makes it much easier for them because those are automatically done, but we will have the results soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Lance. Thank you to our beautiful, beautiful ballot runners. And I didn't know we were going to get a dance performance. Dance, Lance, it rhymes. It is his last act, yes. On the board, not final. Actually, it's not even your last. Is it your last? All right, we digress. So at this point, thank you all for voting. Amy is going to go ahead and recognize our new members from the year and those members who have passed away this year.
And if anyone would like to follow along, this is on page 21 of your annual report. We had a great number of new members. Some of them are in this room. If you are in this room and I say your name and you would like to stand to be recognized, I invite you to do so. If you do not want to, I will not point at you. Our new members include Terry Allen, Christine Barrera, Fausto Barrera, Jennifer Beer, Catherine Belrose, Peter Bogetto, Mary Dumoulin, I think that's how you pronounce it. Somebody correct me later. Ann Duncan, Tony Easter, Veronica Erb, Robin Glowatsky, Kara Hirschberger. Where'd she go? She didn't want to be recognized. Jessica Holtgrew, Robert Holtgrew, Clark Hoteling. Clark has also joined the platform speakers team, and he's a wonderful addition. Sarah Kelly, who prefers to be called Skelly, for the record. Julie Lewis, Judy Lowhouse, Blake Marduk. As if everyone doesn't know who you are. Stan Mulvihill. Morgan Knoll. Actually, I think he pronounces it Noel, but in my defense, there's a first grade teacher at Zoe's school, Miss Knoll, that's spelled the same. I think he pronounces it Noel, though. Diana Oleskovich, Jim Oleskovich, Brenda Otterson, Kimber Palmer, Christine Polite, Daniel Prentice, Dawn Prentice, Josh Renbarger, Pamela Ross, Laura Sadiv, Vanessa Sickles, Ken Thatcher, Scott Vanderwerf, Cassie Veers, Daniel Wilson, Amelia Wood, and Maximiliana Zales. I know, right? And I know most of these people, at least by sight, and they're lovely additions to our community. Sadly, we've lost a few to death. And if you see on here that the date that they died was should have been announced last year. Sometimes we don't find out if it's a member who has been away for a while or who lives somewhere else. Sometimes we don't find out in a timely fashion. Steve Maragaitis, I'm guessing on the pronunciation. If someone knows, let me know. Gerald Cohen, Angela Bell, Jonathan Hill, Janet Morse, Dean Jeffries, Bobby Marks, Fred Stopsky, Joyce Best, Carol Bartel, and Jan Mulholland, which those last three, I'm very blessed that I got to know each of them at least a little bit. So if we want to take just a moment, if you know any of these people, to think about them.
Thank you, Amy. All right, so we will have shortly the voting results. And before those are given to me, I want to thank Kit and Samantha and Mary for collecting the votes. Rachel coordinated the online ballot for us, and that team also for counting the votes today. And also, we have a little gift for Kit that we will be giving to her after the meeting. And I have something for Lance that I would like to give to him now. If any of you are Office fans, they offer, well, Michael Scott offers a Dundee at the, I don't know what it is, the holiday party, some kind of end-of-year party every year. And I give Dundies to my family every year for something that they've accomplished over the year. And this year I ordered an extra one for Best Ethical Society President 2024, Lance Finney. I know I said last year, but, and all year, that Lance is just, he's one in a million. Like watching him lead meetings these last 2 years, watching him lead conversations, the way he can communicate things and express his thoughts clearly with humor and wit, like it is a serious talent. And I often wish I had like an app that I could just, like a Lance app, if I'm trying to say something, and it would just spit it back in Lance words. Fortunately, I've got his cell phone number, so that is my Lance app. All right, and Kit, I know I'm going to give you your gift afterwards, but Kit has done so much for the board, as everybody has, but Kit has worked with the Ethical Society Nursery School and just been like such a devoted, responsible, caring, and also humorous and witty member of the board, and it's really been awesome working with you these last 2 years. So thank you both for all you've done for us the last 3 years. Do we have the voting results? All right. So now I'm to introduce new board members, which I think means Lance comes up for another dance. Is that how we stall the time, maybe? This time it'll be turned on the counting team. That's awesome, because I know that we had a lot of electronic votes that came in. So it's wonderful that we've had so many. Last year we counted at 68, so we'll see. I bet we're going to do better this year. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, 305?
Yeah. It's a little over 300.
Yeah,
She asked
but-
what the total membership number was. Sorry.
Yeah, if you want to go.
No, it's a little over 300. Because we, every other year sort of clear the roles of people who aren't responding to requests to come back or requests for pledge or whatever. And then, we have so it got a little low. I think people were a little nervous for a minute because it got a little low. It dropped below 300 for like a month, and then we're back up. I think we've got several people in the pipeline, so it's looking up.
But it also meant that our apportionment to the AU was accurate.
True. Yeah, that's true. We weren't paying for people that weren't around. I did also want to thank Kit for the Seek stuff last year. Like, if we're looking at the fullness of your board service, I know you don't like to be publicly recognized, so I'm really sorry to do this to you, but it was really important that we acknowledge like the extent of Kit's responsible nature. Like, she will, if she says she's going to do something, she's going to get it done. And she has a ton of knowledge about this building. She did the maintenance, the building and grounds job for several years, and she is the go-to person for questions about the building. She knows a lot about the systems. She's been super helpful for that. And absolutely, if she says she's going to do something, she's going to do it, and that's one of my favorite qualities in a person. So thank you, Kit.
Sweet. Scott, would you, I know that this is kind of weird timing because you probably have a close of the meeting in your speech, but would you like to do the bulk of your address at this point? Thank you. Oh. I should formally introduce you. This is your new president, Scott Wright.
Let me get my notes open here. And I'll try to see if there's a natural time to maybe pause and see if we do have the results at some point, because that may become relevant in my remarks here. All right, I've got a lot of people to thank, and then I'll move on to say a few words about moving forward. So I definitely want to thank everyone who was involved putting together the event tonight. I want to acknowledge Jake, our AV wizard. He's not there right now, but there's a lot. It's not easy getting all these microphones and moving parts to work, not only for the auditorium, but for those joining virtually. So thank you for working your magic to make it all happen. Rachel, I want to thank you for your work tonight, getting the agenda and ballots finalized, everything printed, communicated, distributed, and taking such detailed minutes every month. You really are a rock star. Trish, Amy, all the other board members, those counting in the back for your organization, communication, checking everyone in and counting the ballots, thank you very much. Amy, thank you for your leadership over the past year. You've recruited, hired, and managed a very talented collection of staff, which has made a huge impact on the success of our programs and the smoothness with which our society is run behind the scenes. You've really helped move the culture of our society in a more compassionate, open, and welcoming direction, and I think made us more mindful of the way we choose to engage and build a relationship with others inside and outside the society. Thank you for all you've done for us so far, and I look forward to seeing what else we can accomplish under your leadership in the coming months. I'd like to acknowledge the other speakers this evening briefly. Steve, thank you for your many years of dedicated service as a steward of our funds and our financial management. We were set up to have a comfortable financial position with a healthy endowment by the passion and generosity of past members, and we maintain that healthy position today in perpetuity because of your stewardship and the work of the Finance Committee, including those that were mentioned previously, Jim Rhodes, Nathan Schrank, Andy Stanton, and Kara Hirschberger. It was lovely to serve on the Finance Committee with each of you this year, and I thank you for your service to our society. Heath, You did not have an easy task this year, and while I did not work with you directly, I know a lot of care and intention and effort went into your search, and I want to thank you and the rest of the nominating committee for your efforts as well. Are we still counting? Oh, past President Trish Cowan.
Oh, I like the sound of that. Okay. So the votes are in. Thank you, team, for managing this. Matthew Heil did receive 81 yeses, 1 no, and 3 abstains. So I've totally missed him now. I've lost him. Oh, thank you. Okay. Thank you so much, Matthew. We are going to be in such good hands. Then we had the vote for trustees. We had 2 candidates for this. Thank you both for offering to serve. We had 85 total votes, which, again, last year we had 68, so this is awesome. There was 1 person who voted for both Marianne and Sean, so that vote has been eliminated when you wonder what the math is here. We had Marianne received 71 yes votes, Sean O'Hara received 10 yes votes, and 3 folks abstained. So Marianne, welcome to the board. And again, Sean, thank you very much for running. We know you have us in your heart for sure. Secretary Rachel Jones, 85 very wise people voted yes. Then for the budget, Amy was very convincing. We had 79 yes votes and 6 abstain. Yeah, nice. Amendment to bylaw 4.4 under professional leadership, we had 83 yes and 2 abstain. And, oh, sure. All right, yeah, right. I love the enthusiasm. And then the other bylaw, 5.3, under elections, vacancies, and removals, we had 81 yes votes and 4 abstains. So I guess, do you want to welcome the new board members, or do you want me to? I mean, I guess, okay, all right, I'm on the agenda. All right, so I guess I kind of already did it, but Marianne and Matthew, congratulations, and welcome to the board. We're really excited to be working with you. Thank you all.
All right, thank you, Trish, and to all of our vote counters. I want to copy Lance's joke he said to me last year to Matthew and Marianne. Congratulations and condolences. Joking aside, I think we've got a really great team of board members for this upcoming year, and I look forward to working with you both over the next 2 years. There's a lot to do, and I will be in touch with you shortly for your official board onboarding. We have 2 board members retiring. As we welcome our 2 new board members, at the same time, we say farewell and give our heartfelt thanks to our 2 outgoing board members who have officially now finished their 3 years of board service. Kit, thank you for your incredible work on our board over the past 3 years, and in particular, your efforts to support our youth education programs, keeping it going as we filled key staff positions and supporting Megan and Courtney in their current efforts to provide our youth with high-quality and engaging youth education programs. Thank you for your service as our liaison on the Ethical Society Nursery School Board, and thank you for hosting emergency board meetings at your beautiful home. Thank you. Outgoing past president Lance. There is so much to say. I cannot compete with what others have already said, so I'll keep it relatively brief. As many know, Lance stepped into his presidency a little early due to some unforeseen circumstances, then immediately had to help steer our ship through considerable and unprecedented challenges. figuring out things like how to keep hybrid services going, coming out of lockdown, an almost immediate leadership transition, interim leader search, and how to operate during an interim transition period. None of these were easy tasks, but you managed to lead us through each of them with grace and wisdom, and we really cannot thank you enough for that and for your continued guidance as the past president over the past year. Not to mention your incredibly detailed work reviewing our bylaws and your work leading the governance committee this past year, which led to several of our ballot items tonight. Thank you for passing. Sincerely, thank you for your service to our society, and please enjoy some well-deserved time off. Now, past President Trish, it's been incredible serving under your leadership and mentorship over the past year of, again, unprecedented interim leadership and all the unpredictable difficulties and challenges that have come our way. I really appreciate how you've been able to steer our congregation through important and sometimes difficult moments and conversations. For example, the ongoing discussions regarding our affiliation with the AEU, a conversation we'll be continuing into the next year. I hope that I will be able to follow in your example in facilitating these conversations and guiding our society with your characteristic generosity, compassion, and poise. And I fully intend to heavily rely on your guidance as past president in the coming year. Thank you. All right, speaking of the AEU conversation, a few weeks ago I stood on this stage and asked for your help in forming a task force to explore our relationship with the AEU and attempt to effect some change at the national level at this summer's AEU Assembly. I asked for at least 5 members to help in this effort, and I was overwhelmed when no less than 15 of you reached out to me to offer your help and support. Thank you to everyone who volunteered to step up. I am pleased to share that we have settled on a task force of 7 members, including myself: Alan Easton, Allison Heil, Heather Fields, Mary Murphy-Overman, Christine Polite, and Larry Dorison. Thank you each for stepping up and being ready to roll up your sleeves and get to work on this important issue. Thank you to the AEU Task Force. I would be remiss at this point if I did not also thank Anya Overman as well, our very hardworking representative from the Ethical Society of St. Louis to the AEU. Anya has done a lot of work for us at the national level as a board member for the AEU. That is often invisible to us here at St. Louis, and has been very helpful to me personally in providing information and guidance regarding our relationship with the AEU. So thank you to Anya as well. I'd like to end my remarks tonight, or begin moving towards an end, with a reflection back on our recent pledge campaign, which, by the way, I owe a massive thank you to our pledge committee members for making this year's campaign a success. Casey Henderson, Mary Ann Perkins, Jamie Frazier, Melody Dubois, as well as the numerous staff and board members who helped out with various phases of the campaign. Thank you very much for making our campaign a success. The theme of our campaign was Strong Roots, Strong Branches. In my remarks at the pledge lunch, I shared how in this metaphor, each and every one of you are the vital roots that help sustain and grow our society through your financial pledges, but also through your participation and active engagement in social activity, in our society activities. The branches then are all of the things that we manifest and produce out of our efforts. I had left out Post-it notes and markers by the pledge tree during our campaign and prompted your input to help flesh out the true scale of all the very real outcomes that are created and supported by our community, as well as share some outcomes that we hope and dream for. Just a few of these prompts in your responses include, to the prompt, I am thankful for, you responded, the friends I have made, great music, committed volunteers and staff, creating a new community, finding fellow introverts, the religious transition group, and free coffee. To the prompt, we hope for, you responded, more outreach, more intergenerational events, the continued growth of our youth program, more service opportunities, and social support systems. To the prompt, we dream of, you responded, a 2-leader model, a presence in the city, intra-congregational collaboration, and someone said simply, a future worth fighting for. We've got a lot of change coming up this year. Amy will be completing her interim period. We hope to be onboarding a new settled leader around that same time, kicking off a brand new period of transition for us all. At that same time, we continue to explore our relationship with the AAU closer than ever before, which may or may not entail further change. We continue to rebuild our youth education program. We have a list of major building improvements and maintenance projects to tackle. The list really does go on, but I think I've taken up enough time already. I just want to end by saying all of these changes, these programs, these support groups, these hopes and these dreams that you have for our society, they all can happen, but they don't just happen. The only way that they do happen or will happen is if we intentionally make them happen together. And I'm excited to see what we can make happen in the coming year. With that, does anyone block a motion to adjourn the 2024 annual membership meeting? Does anyone stand aside? Seeing none, meeting adjourned. Thank you all.
Your first order of business. Good job.